Hey guys, I learned something really fascinating about the jobs report in my reporting over the last several weeks, and I've been waiting to share it with you. We got our jobs report today. It was a better than expected report. It's the first report for 2023, and in the month of January, the United States economy created more than 500,000 jobs. That is much better than economists expected. And just for a point of reference, typically, this is a generalization, you need about 250,000 jobs created every month to keep up with population growth. So this is a strong report. But I had reached out to the Bureau of Labor Statistics a couple weeks ago to ask about layoffs, because I'm sure you'll recall that we've been talking about some massive layoffs announced at big companies like Amazon and Microsoft. So I was curious, when would that sift out in the data? Like, when would we actually see those layoffs? And so here's what I learned. The jobs report is really comprised of two major data points. One is actually talking to people like us about their employment, and the other is really looking at the industry and at companies. So let's start with companies. If a company is laying people off and they are receiving severance, this actually happened to me. In fact, my journalism career happened in part because I was part of a massive layoff very early in my 20s, and that pushed me to go to graduate school and go get into journalism full force and really chase my dreams. During that time, I received a severance over a few month period. And so if you are receiving a severance, or if people are laid off and they're receiving a severance every few weeks, just like they were paid, which can happen, and you are on the company's payroll by the 12th of the month, then the way that the data is looking at you as being counted as being part of the company's payroll, not being laid off. And so that's one way where it doesn't really show up. It's not really showing up as a layoff just yet. Now, you also have the household survey. To be counted as part of the labor force, you have to be able to work, physically able to work, wanting to work, and actively looking for a job. So let's say you get severance. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna take a little break. I'm gonna spend some time with the families, and I'll hit the road hard in the next couple weeks looking for a job. You may not be counted as an active member of the labor force, and it's another way that you're not exactly seen as a layoff. So this is really interesting. It's something just to keep in mind as we see really strong job data. And we always ask the question, is this a one-off or is this a trend? We also have to take in consideration that we're getting these headlines about tens of thousands of people getting laid off. And at a certain point, that may start showing itself in the data in different ways. So you may say, well, is the data worth anything? Is this jobs report worth something if maybe it's not seeing these layoffs as clearly? And here's what I would say. Data is always backwards looking. We're always looking over our shoulder. It's a snapshot in time. And that snapshot is really valuable. It's telling us something. But this is where reporting kicks in, where you actually have to start talking to people and asking them, like, have you been laid off? Have your friends been laid off? Is everyone employed the way that they want to be employed? Because that really matters as well. So that's what I'm going to ask you today. We got the jobs report, stronger than expected. It's a big deal, but I learned this about layoffs, that it can be a little tricky to see when that's going to kind of rise to the surface in the data. So what's going on in your community? Are your friends getting laid off? Are you getting laid off? What are you seeing? What are your observations about the job market? Combining these two will give us a more accurate picture. So that's my quick hit. I'm calling it a quick sip of information, and hopefully you get it, learn something. I got a lot smarter by learning this, and then we can get on with our day. It's great to see you as always, and we'll have more on smarternews.com. Have a great one. I'll see you soon. Remember what I told you guys? I needed you to be a little bit quiet. How do you think that went? Not good.